We all know the stories of Tenali Rama, right? The super clever court jester who could solve any problem with a witty remark. But what if I told you the real man was even more fascinating than the legend? We're talking about a brilliant poet whose work is still studied today, and a trusted advisor to one of India's greatest emperors. So today, let's peel back the layers of the myth and find the real Tenali Rama.
So, was he just a funny guy, a serious poet, a powerful advisor? The answer is, well, kinda all three. But how in the world does one person become all of those things? That's the big question we're going to tackle as we go from the world of legend to the hard facts of history.
So here's our game plan. We'll start where most of us first met him, with the incredible legends. Then we'll dig into his pretty surprising journey to the royal court, see the real influence he had, and check out the literary works that made him a total giant of his time. And finally, we'll look at why his story is still so popular today. All right, let's kick things off with the story that everybody loves, the one that explains how Tenali Rama got that almost supernatural wit and earned himself the title Vikatakavi, which basically means jester poet. You see, this is way more than just a fun folktale. It's his origin story. It tells us that Tenali Rama's humor and intelligence were so off the charts, people figured it couldn't be human. It just had to be a gift from the gods. This myth really sets the stage for the incredible life he was about to lead. So the legend starts with a roadblock. As a Shaiva, a follower of the god Shiva, Rama gets turned away by scholars who were Vaishnavas, or followers of Vishnu. But he doesn't give up. He follows a sage's advice and starts praying to the goddess Kali. And this is where the story gets really good. The goddess appears and offers him a choice, a bowl of curd for wealth or a bowl of milk for wisdom. What does Tenali Rama do? He drinks from both. His boldness actually impresses the goddess, and she blesses him. It's such a brilliant story because it perfectly explains both his legendary wisdom and his amazing success. Okay, so that's the legend. Pretty cool, right? But now, let's step out of the myth and into the real world. Because as amazing as that story is, the true story of how Tenali Rama went from a simple village boy to a celebrated scholar is honestly even more incredible. This part just blows my mind. First off, his name wasn't even Tenali Rama. He was born Garlapati Ramakrishna. After his father died when he was just a kid, he had absolutely no formal education. Just let that sink in. Everything he became, a master of multiple languages, a famous poet, he did all on his own, all through sheer willpower and natural brilliance. So how did this self-taught kid from a village get his big break into the royal court? It wasn't a miracle. It was pure talent and hustle. He was a gifted performer, right? So he joins this traveling arts group, and one day his skills on stage catch the eye of the emperor himself, Krishna Devaraya. That was his ticket in, earned through nothing but his own ability. So once he's inside the famous Vijayanagara court, Tenali Rama wasn't just there to crack jokes. Oh no. He quickly became a serious player in a world of tricky politics and world-class literature. You gotta understand, life in the court was a high-stakes balancing act. He had powerful friends, like the emperor and the prime minister, Tamarasu, but he also had a major rival in the royal priest, Tathacharya. To not just survive, but to thrive in that environment, Tenali Rama had to be more than just clever. He had to be a political mastermind. And if you need any more proof of his genius, this is it. He was named one of the Ashta-Dajagas, the 8 elephants of literature. This was the absolute highest honor a poet could get in the entire empire. This isn't a title you just hand out to a court jester. This was a declaration that he was a literary heavyweight. And his relationship with the emperor went way beyond poetry. Krishna Devaraya really came to rely on Rama's sharp mind and common-sense wisdom, not just for laughs, but for serious matters of state. This made him one of the most trusted and influential people in the entire empire. The stories about his wit are what made him a household name, but it's his actual written work that secured his place in history forever. You see, before anything else, he was a master poet. And this right here, Panduranga Mahatmyam, this was his masterpiece, his Mona Lisa. This epic poem is considered one of the 5 great masterworks of all of Telugu literature. To put that in perspective, that's like being one of the absolute pillars of a whole literary tradition. This is why he's remembered not just as a folk hero, but as a true literary icon. So how did this real-life, historical poet and royal advisor transform into the timeless, funny character that has entertained people for literally generations? Well, tragically, his life was cut pretty short.
He died at just 47 years old from a snakebite. And then, only a year later, his friend and emperor, Krishna-devaraya, also passed away. It was truly the end of an incredible era, a golden age that Tenali Rama himself had helped create.
But his story didn't end there, not even close. His tales of wisdom and wit have been passed down and retold over and over again. He's been the star of movies, huge TV shows, and even cartoons for kids. The character of Tenali Rama has become a timeless symbol of cleverness and humor. So why do we still tell these stories about a courtier from the 16th century? In our crazy, modern world, why do his tales still feel so relevant? Maybe it's because the legend of Tenali Rama gets at a timeless truth, that intelligence, combined with a sense of humor, is one of the most powerful tools we have. He was a real man, a brilliant poet, and a legendary jester. And in the end, it's that mix of all three that makes his story completely unforgettable. So what do you think? What's the most important part of his legacy?